remember when I got into the car, I asked my driver there, okay, so how many kilometers is it to this place? He told me 1,090 kilometers from Nairobi. So, and in Banisa, I went to this place where we are doing a market and the police housing in the middle of nowhere. It's happening in Banisa. It is also happening in Homa Bay. It is happening in Kiambu. It is happening in every other. We have actually 210 sites of affordable housing, and we have 600 sites of markets going on. So what are we doing in housing? We are doing already 240,000 housing units up. We've started giving out keys. I gave out keys in Nairobi. I gave out keys in Kakamega. I gave out keys in Kapsabet. I gave out keys, I don't know where that else. And there, Machakos, and it's continuing. We have 600 markets going on, modern markets. And we have hostels for 180,000 college students in Tibet and in universities. And 600,000 people working. That was deliberate, it was intentional. But it was difficult. You know, that's how I became Zakayo. Oh, you know Zakayo? Zakayo. Because housing levy was something we had to, all right? But look at the transformation. It's changing the skyline of Kenya. It is changing the skyline of Kenya. Go to Eldoret, my own hometown, and see. Is there anybody here from Eldoret? Yes. You should go to Apo Railway and uone maneno vile inaendelea, or you go to Pioneer, uone vile mambo iko. Anybody here from Kisumu? You should go to Kisumu hapo kwa. I mean, Kisumu is. I went there and I couldn't believe it myself. 20th floor, you know, in Kisumu, and anywhere else. Go to Homa Bay, go to Migori, go to Kakamega. I just came from Kakamega the other day, and we are now doing the next 2,000 units right there in Amalemba, hapo chini. We are doing the same in Makueni. There is anybody here from Makueni? Go to Wote and see. Yeah? Or wherever. Any town. Go to Garissa. Anybody from Garissa here? Mutaona vile mambo iko. So we are changing the skyline of our country. Of course, the social media will tell you nothing is happening in Kenya. That's what the social media will tell you. And on and on and on and on. So that is one issue we are doing. Housing is giving us opportunity to create jobs and change our nation. That is what other countries have done. Number two, we decided that we are going to streamline this overseas employment story. And thanks to Rosalyn and good friends at the Ministry of Labor, we had so many crooked, what are those companies called, those people? Private recruitment agencies, crooked people, you know, there. We registered close to 1,000 of them that were crooked. We have a bunch now that is left, and we are keeping close tabs on them. We have also simplified the process. We have reduced the time required to get a visa, to get a passport. We've scaled down on many other aspects, and that is why the numbers that were listed there. In the last 3 years, We have facilitated the employment of close to 543,000 Kenyans, and those numbers are growing. We have signed bilateral labor agreements to make sure that those Kenyans who work in those countries are protected, and we have a mechanism to make sure that we can get to them. We can repatriate them if we must, if there is a challenge. And you've seen the kind of work that has been done by the diaspora ministry. Whenever there are Kenyans in distress in any part of the world, we try to facilitate their way back home. And so that space around diaspora has not just increased numbers. With numbers, we've also increased remittances coming to Kenya. Number 3, we have also expanded the space on digital jobs. We've created a better ecosystem to create opportunities for people to work. We're expanding the fiber infrastructure in Kenya, creating more ICT hubs, creating more G2M centers, and training more Kenyans on working online. We have also facilitated the coming into Kenya of more business process outsourcing companies. In fact, the largest business process outsourcing company in the world, called Teleperformer, now has a footprint in Kenya. And we are continuing to build that ecosystem so that we can create opportunities for Kenyans to work on the digital space. And as I talk to you today, we have close to 300,000 Kenyans working either in business process outsourcing, in G2M centers, in ICT hubs, both in public and private places, working online. And we continue to build that ecosystem. Remember I said, if we have to create opportunities for work, it has to be intentional, it has to be deliberate. And that's what we are doing. I thought I should say that just to give you an understanding of where we are in Kenya. I guess that gives you a sample of the things we are doing and the change we want to make in our country. Maybe the second issue I want to say is, why am I here this time around in Italy? If I can leave that one, if I can leave the status report for Kenya. I could say a bit more things, but I know we are conscious of time, and I can see we have kids in our midst, and they need to go sleep. I am here this time round because we have business to do with friends here. We've come to sort out some of the projects that brought problems along the way. We had a project in Mwingi that developed complications. We came to sort it out. We had a project in Baringo called Kirandich. We came to sort it out. We had another project in Nakuru, Itare, which had problems. We came to sort it out. And I think we have agreed with the Italian government on a framework to sort out all those water projects that had challenges. That was assignment number 1. Assignment number 2, under our universal health coverage program, we're trying to get some hospitals to support our counties to elevate some of the hospitals to level 5 to provide a better healthcare delivery mechanism. We have, I think, hospitals in 17 counties, 17 counties, including a level 6 facility in Mombasa, because we want to have an equivalent of Moi Teaching Referral Mwai Kibaki facility in Nyeri, and the Kenyatta Level 6, we want to have one facility like that in Mombasa. So we came to discuss that with the Italian government here. We have a proposal which they have looked at, and I think we have also agreed on how to take that forward. Number 3, we came here to look at our education system. As I told you, we have some of the best human capital anywhere in the world. Kenyans, our education is good. Our English is good. Yes, we speak some of the best English in the world. Yeah, that is true. If you listen to a Nigerian speaking, you don't know what. You don't know. You need a translator. Even when they are speaking English, Ama. So we've some of the best human capital anywhere in the world, and we just need to sharpen it with more training, and that is why we came to discuss here 2 things. Something that I very strongly believe in, that we need as a country. We have good knowledge and education, but we need to sharpen our knowledge in science, technology, and innovation. If we have to move our country to a first world, we need knowledge. We need sharper knowledge. That is what other countries have done. We need to develop a higher caliber of professionals to undertake and underwrite our development. It is my belief that a country can only grow to the extent of how they can think. You cannot grow more than you can think. You cannot develop. Yeah. So we need a much more solid body of knowledge for us to take Kenya to the next level. So that's the conversation we had. We've signed an agreement with Italy to develop the space around science, technology, and innovation. And secondly, we've come to look at equipment for our technical TVET institutions. We have 60 TVETs that we need to elevate the training, especially on technical skills. And we've come to negotiate a facility to provide some of the Italian equipment for training. And then number 3 and number 4, we have come to discuss another 2 important subjects, that is leather and coffee, to develop those value chains. Why? Number 1, we have some of the best coffee in the world. We need to do more. We're doing 50,000 metric tons now. We believe we can do up to 200,000 coffee. In Kenya, there is a coffee momentum that is peaking. I found my mother growing coffee. We used not to grow coffee where I come from. But when I went home, I found my mother has grown coffee, and I was asking her, what is the story? He told me, but everybody else is growing coffee around here. So there is a coffee, thing happening in Kenya. Minister Oparanya and the other teams in that sector are pushing it. I think the good prices is also fueling people to think about coffee. So we've come to discuss here a facility to help us do more, improve on the coffee value chain. Number 2, leather. Why leather? We have the 3rd largest livestock herd in the African continent, which means we have the raw material. and we only need the best technology. And this country has some of the best technology in leather. And therefore, we have come to discuss that as well. And I think we have agreed on how that is going to move forward. We've agreed on a facility that will improve on what we are doing in Karioko. We have a common user facility. That is why PS Mufana is here, and my good friend Lee is here to discuss that, the people in the trade space. And so those are some of the assignments we came to discuss with our colleagues here. We've also discussed, we came to sign off some small grants here and there. We have a grant for restoration of Cherangani Forest. We have a grant for some ASAL areas. We have a grant for some gender issues. And we are discussing a grant for a small, a good water project in Taita Taveta, a place called Lumi. Do you have anybody from Taita Taveta here? County? You come from Taita Taveta? Great. Yes, there's a place after Matate called Lumi. There, we have a water project there we are working on, and we've gotten a small facility of about 700 million to be able to undertake that project. So these are some of the things that we came to discuss with the government here, and we've gotten a very good response. It so happens that Prime Minister Meloni is a good friend of mine. The President Terela is a very good friend of mine, and we've got good engagements there. There are another couple of, what was the other thing? I think those are the things. There is another 2 or 3 things that, there is something on ICS, which we've left somewhere hanging. But we've really, I think we've done a good job, and we have earned our salary. At least today we. And thanks to Mwangi and all the other people, they have signed off some money to come to Kenya to support all those. Whenever nowadays we go, whenever I go out to these state visits and official visits, we remember to carry the private sector with us so that they can also find their counterparts, because the private sector plays a very significant role in how to take the country forward. Finally, is the future. Yes. What is the future? Where is the future? You know, because you see, listen, friends, the future is very important. You know, we have done everything that we have done. We have stabilized the economy. We've sorted out our agriculture. We can do more. We've sorted out universal health coverage. We're creating jobs in the space around us, digital jobs, jobs in the housing market, and all that. But we can do more. We can and must do more. And this is how I see the future. There are 3 things we must do, beginning now. 3. Number 1, we must generate more energy. We do not have enough energy in Kenya. Mumesikia power. Mesikia rafiki yangu mmoja amesema hatuwezi kukaa bila. So we need to generate minimum at least 10,000 megawatts of energy. Why? Listen, my good friends. Today we have in our grid 3,300 megawatts. You know, and if you stable, you know, installed capacity is 2,000, maybe 400, 500. On some occasions, we have to do load shedding because our peak sometimes exceeds the energy available. So we have to shut off some areas. That is the wrong thing to do. You can never develop without energy. You can never. So we need to generate 10,000 megawatts of energy. We have geothermal resources, we have wind resources, we have solar energy resources, we have nuclear energy resources, which we must develop. In fact, I've just excused Minister Opio and I because he's meeting one of our investors called Eni from here, who is working with us in Menengai. We've just given them a facility in Menengai to look at the opportunity to invest in our geothermal resources. So we have to generate 10,000 megawatts of energy at the very minimum. That requires about between 10, 12, maybe $13 billion to do. Number two, we have to escalate our transport infrastructure. You go to any part of Kenya, people are still complaining, barabara haiendi nyumbani, bado iko matope. Barabara is a problem. We still have a problem in barabara. We do not have enough road infrastructure. I remember when we came into office with President Uhuru, we rolled out a 10,000 kilometer road program. We managed to do about 6,000. I am completing another 6,000. But we want to do 28,000 kilometers, new kilometers of tarmac. From independence up to now, we have done 20,000 kilometers of tarmac. I'm just telling Kenyans that it is good we have done 20,000. We are now, I'm completing by end of next year another 6,000, so it will be 26,000. But we need to do another 28,000 kilometers of tarmac in the next 7 years, if we are serious. That is how we are going to cover all those roads that goes to all those villages. I go to any part of Kenya, the biggest problem Kenyans have is barabara. Sindio? Yes, that's correct. And you see, we have to be deliberate. We cannot be discussing, oh, we are doing 10 kilometers here, we are doing 3 kilometers there, so you 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers. We just have to be bold and do what I have said. Let me give you an example. In 60 years, we have done 20,000 kilometers of tarmac, which is very good. And for your information, Kenya has the third longest kilometers of paved road in Africa, behind South Africa and Nigeria. We are number 3 with 20,000 kilometers, which is very small, by the way. By comparison, Japan, which is smaller in area than Kenya, has 1 million kilometers of paved road. Do you know that there is a difference between 20,000 and 1 million? And the difference is not small. Sindio? So we are not talking about 1 million. We are saying let's double what we have fast. That requires about 1.6 trillion Kenya shillings. 1.6, 1.8, we have done the mathematics. Hiyo ya energy requires about 1.5 trillion. Mnanielewa? And then we need to do a third thing. We need to move away, not move away. We have exhausted, kind of, the area we have that we can use rain-fed agriculture. We have almost exhausted. As you know, only 15% of Kenya is arid, is arable and has rain. Only 15%. 85% of Kenya is arid and semi-arid. 85%. So we've been feeding ourselves on just 15% of Kenya. It cannot sustain our population, and that is why we continue to be a hungry country. I just want to tell you there are still too many Kenyans who sleep hungry, and it is not right. We still have too many people who don't have enough food, and it is not right. You know, you don't know how dehumanizing it is for somebody to say, Mheshimiwa, mimi niko na njaa. No. It's very helpless. So we have to go into irrigation. That's why we need water storage, water harvesting. And yet, many of those areas in Kenya, they are very fertile. The only thing that is not there is water. And sometimes people confuse rain and water. What we need in northern Kenya is not rain, we need water. You mnanielewa? We need water. So wherever it rains, we should harvest it and make water available in all the other areas. That is what dams, water harvesting, water storage does. It gives us water to use in places where there is no rain. But we have enough rain, but we do not have enough water in those other areas. So we need to harvest the rain and take the water to those areas. So we need to, at least for us to stabilize our food security and create opportunity for us to tap into the export market, we need another 2.5 million acres of irrigation. 2.5 million acres. For us to do, we have estimated, if you speak to my PS Kimoto and my PS Korea, they will tell you we need 50 mega dams, huge dams. Many of you have heard of, so in Koru, you have heard of High Grand Falls Dam, you have heard of Dawa, you have heard of Doshi, yeah, the PS for Water is here, the Minister for Water is here. All those dams, Waziri. So we have enough water. There is still a lot of water that goes into the Indian Ocean. The Indian Ocean does not need any water from Kenya. So we can harvest the whole of it, and the Indian Ocean will continue to be. So this is what we need to do. We need, we've discussed this. All the dams, by the way, they've always been in our books. You know, we know where the dams are. We know that they should be done. But there has to be a mechanism to make them happen. So that requires another almost 2 trillion shillings to do. So that's why I told the people of Kenya, we need 5 trillion to be able to get ourselves to the next level. And people thought I was not normal, but I am. Yes, we need 5 trillion Kenya shillings, and we are going to find it. We are going to do it. Not next year. We are starting this year. Tunaelewana? Yes. So we've started the process of getting the resources to do it. So, and with those three, we do those three, we need another three enablers. Number one, we need science, technology, innovation, number one. Number two, we need security. We have to invest in securing our country. And number three, we need to work on our governance to make sure that we deal with corruption, we deal with patriotism, and we begin to believe in ourselves. We begin to believe in our country. You know, there are so many unpatriotic Kenyans. They talk about Kenya as if they have a spare country. You know? So you demonize Kenya so that you do what? So that you belong where? Who is going to give you their country? You know? So we need to work on the software of all of us. We need to begin to think, you know, about our country in a much more positive way. So we have started the process of raising the money. We need to raise at least 500 billion Kenya shillings. Where are we going to how are we going to raise 500 billion Kenya shillings? You know, and then we can then begin to. So the first thing we did, we have raised 100 billion shillings from the Kenya Pipeline IPO. We already have 100 in the bank. We have the money. And by the way, Kenya Pipeline has not left Kenya. It is still there. It is still buried in the soil, transporting fuel. But we have 100 billion shillings in the bank. We're going to raise another 250 billion in the next few months, maybe 1 month, 2 months. And I have ideas on how to raise the balance. Because somebody must take the right decisions, however tough, for our country. That is why I made the decision that I am not focused on the next election. That is not my focus. I am focused on transforming Kenya, whatever the consequences. That's my focus. I am focused on changing this country, and we will change it. Yes, we are changing Kenya. It's beginning to look different. Give me another 6 months, come to Nairobi, and you will see how Nairobi will have changed. 6 months, by December this year. I went and addressed the County Assembly of Nairobi, and I told them some hard truths on how, you know, there are many people who say they came to Kenya, but they actually came to Nairobi. And the impression they have of Kenya is what they saw in. If they saw garbage and dark streets and unpaved roads, that's the idea of what Kenya is. That's why we must reorganize Nairobi. I am putting in 80 billion shillings in Nairobi just to change it so that we can have the correct impression of Nairobi. So that is the future. We are beginning, we're going to have a new airport. We've just advertised for a new airport in Nairobi. We are going to use the money from the Kenya Pipeline IPO. And we'll use only 10 billion out of the 100. Tutaweka 10 billion hapo, tulete watu wengine wakusanye, tuende tufanye hiyo ingine, tujenge nini? ile kitu inatakikana Kenya ni akili. That's all you need. Ni mnanielewa? Yes. And we are going to tutafanya maneno. Hii Kenya itabadilika hii. So that is how things are. That is the future. We're going to develop new infrastructure. We're going to generate energy. We've already figured out how that is going to. We're going to do dams. We already have 12 identified dams. Eric, with Kimodo, I already have a brief on the first 12 dams, and then we move the country forward. Don't mind about the naysayers and the other people there. They are just talking. They do not have a plan. If you ask them, what is your plan? Ruto must go. How is that a plan? How is it? It is stupid. What is, you know, I'm yet to hear them give us an alternative plan, you know. There is none, you know. You saw the other day when we had this challenge of war in the Middle East. And naturally, prices of oil products would go up. Everybody expected that. Not in Kenya, but everywhere. And then you hear somebody saying, oh, we should go and demonstrate. Really? How will a demonstration bring down the cost of oil products? Honestly, you know? So we have we've done what we have had to do. You know, we've stepped in, we've worked with our partners, we've talked to our suppliers. Luckily for us, we have, you know, what we call a G2G framework that has helped us, you know, stabilize supply, guarantee supply, and make sure that the prices are moderated at any one time. We've also deployed resources around subsidy, and we have stabilized that space. You know, I was speaking yesterday, and many Kenyans ask, why are taxes on fuel higher in Kenya than in our neighbors? Legitimate question. This is the answer. Are taxes on fuel higher in Kenya than our neighbors? Yes. Why? Is the next question, right? It is because we decided as a country that we want to develop more road infrastructure. And that is why we have more road infrastructure. We have more roads, or more paved roads in Kenya. Kenya happens to be the third country with the highest kilometers of paved road. So have the higher taxation regime in Kenya given results? Yes. We are maintaining longer kilometers of tarmac in Kenya. We are building 6,000 kilometers as I talk to you here. In Uganda, from independence up to now, they have done 6,000 kilometers. We are doing 6,000 kilometers now in Kenya. Does that make a difference? You know? So we are a much more, you know, ambitious country. We want to do more. We want to move our country more. That's why, and there's nothing that comes for free. The justification that we should be asking ourselves, are the higher taxes we are paying on fuel translating into outcomes in the road sector? That is the question we should be asking. And I can confidently tell you, yes. With more kilometers of tarmac, we are building more, we are maintaining what we have, and that is what happens in middle-income countries. If you want to compare Kenya, compare us with our peers in the middle income space. You asked for me to talk to you, so I don't know whether you are still okay. I don't know whether this is what you asked for, or you bargained for something else. But let me stop there and say, my good citizens, the people of the great country, we all belong to Kenya. I'm very proud to be in your midst this evening, to share my thoughts on what I think about our country and where we should be going and how we should get there. I just want to assure you that it is my intention to make sure that no part of Kenya is left behind. That is my intention, and it's my deliberate intention. And that we bring all the people of Kenya on board. No section, no community, no region should be left behind. It's possible for us to move together. It is possible for us to grow together. It is the right thing to do. And that is what I intend to do. And I'm very confident. And I am very optimistic about the future of our country. Very optimistic about the future of Kenya. Kenya is going places. And by the way, we have a great country. If I were asked whether I was to be born again, I would want to be born Kenyan. Okay, let me stop there. Asanteni sana. I don't know who wants to speak after me. They can have the floor. Thank you very much.